Hi folks, I'm on holiday in Madeira. It's the middle of February and we've had a terrible winter in England. A lot of folks are up to here in water and I thought I've got to get on a bike. So on impulse I planned a holiday and I saw a YouTube video on Madeira and I thought, hey, that looks a really nice place. So, well, it is a really nice place, so I thought what I'd do is I'd make a little video about motorcycling in Madeira. The other thing was that I rented myself a CB500X and I've ridden over most of the island now. I've had the bike a few days and I thought I'd talk about the CB500X as well. Okay, this is Madeira. I'm holding my phone up at head height to try and get the whole map in. I'm going to zoom in now. I'm staying at a place called Funchal, which is down here. There we go, Funchal. See that mess of yellow spaghetti and clover leaves and all that? That's because Madeira is incredibly mountainous, and so they've built the most elaborate road system to cope with the fact that the whole landscape's in 3D. Let's zoom out a little bit. Right, so let's have a look. This is at 1800 meters. That is at sea level. There's only a few kilometers in between. You can see what the road looks like all the way up here. Actually, no, the 1800 meters is here. But most of the centre of the island is above 1000 meters. Much of it, there's this high plateau level here, it's about 1500 meters. And as you can see from the road system, it's just extraordinarily twisty and complex with a lot of ascents and descents. There is a road that goes around the edge of the island. Because the coast is so indented and mountainous, and here's a good example like that on the left-hand side. What they've done is they've built long section of tunnels. So when you look on the map, that's a tunnel, that's a tunnel, that's a tunnel, and when you've sampled the beautiful pollution-free Madeiran air and then you go into one of these tunnels, you quickly decide you never want to go into another one of those tunnels. So I've tended to avoid the coast road completely wherever possible and avoid tunnels wherever possible. This part here is particularly nice, this road out this way, up to here. And it descends through the most beautiful forest, beautiful switchback road through the most beautiful forest. This road here goes up to the highest point of the island, which is, there's a big radar dome up there, and that's at 1800 meters. This whole area is extremely mountainous with a UNESCO World Heritage Site forest. It's called Laura Silva Forest. What else? The airport. The airport is here. That's the airport. You can see there's a decent route that runs along the coast into Funchal. Let's stand back a bit. So there are a few main routes. There's those roads off on this side. You've got to travel quite a long way, along here and up here, and then to get to the other side of the island without going around the coast. It's all gorgeous. For the trip, I rented myself a CB500X. I rented it in advance. I booked it over the internet. I didn't have to pay a deposit or anything. I just turned up and it was minimal fuss. I thought the rental rate was very good. They gave me a 2019 CB500X with 700 kilometers on it and not a scratch, and I have been extremely happy with the bike from the rental point of view. So these guys, and take that as an endorsement. Now, why the CB500X? I got a KTM 1290 Super Adventure R, and I love it. It's great, but it's a handful, and I'm 69 now, so I thought I really ought to be looking at bikes that are a little less of a handful. You know, the day's going to come, smaller bike, less of a handful. And I'd been in my local bike shop, which is Fowler's in Bristol, and I saw the 500X, and I thought, okay, let's sit on this. It's not too bad, feels quite nice. The price is very good. I forget exactly what it is, but it's a very nice bike for the money. And I thought, okay, I really ought to have a go on one of these. So I rented it, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I thought. So let me collect my thoughts. CB500X. 2019 model, so it has the larger front wheel, slightly more adventure-y looking shape to it. Parallel twin 500cc engine. The first thing that struck me was, bloody hell, it's heavy. How did they make a smallish bike so heavy? And here's the thing, it's not actually that small, it's surprisingly tall, and it feels like it's made out of depleted uranium. 192 kilograms, that's not small. I'm 69, I'm looking for a bike I can pick up. I'm not planning to bench press 200 kilos. Anyway, that's the first impression. The second impression is that it's a bit gutless. And there's a reason for that. It's built to a price and it's built to a specification. 47 brake horsepower. It's for people whose license requirements restrict them to a bike of a particular horsepower. And I believe that's a European requirement. And it appears that Honda have sold the bike all over the world at 47 brake horsepower. Now you may be thinking, okay, it's a bit restricted, I can make it go faster. I'll make it go faster. It's not a wolf in sheep's clothing. There is no wolf in there, it's sheep all the way through. Seriously, I did some research, as you do, you Google, performance upgrades, all the usual stuff, K&N filter, slip-on, new exhaust, high flow thingy. It doesn't make it. You can spend an awful lot of money doing this and not make a lot of difference. The reason being that it's a bike that, think about it, you're Honda, you've got a product range, and your design engineers sitting there thinking, I'm going to build a bike that completely undercuts all my other products by making it lighter, faster, better. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to build a bike that precisely hits a particular segment of the market on the nail and doesn't cannibalize your existing product line. So that's what they've done. And while you may unleash a few extra horses, you have to do substantial engine mods to do that. And you can find out online. There are people who race this engine, and there are detailed descriptions of how to get more power out of it. But really, seriously, if you want more power, buy a 600. If you want 100 brake horsepower, buy a 600. It's got one of the best engines ever made. They'll go up to 100,000 miles, and they're dirt cheap. Well, not millions, but there have been a very large number of 600s on the market. They're a beautiful bike. They're capable of racing, they're capable of touring, that they'll do all this stuff, and they've got 100 brake horsepower, and they're not expensive, so buy one of those. There, got that out of the system. So the CB500X, it is what it is. It's a 47 brake horsepower bike that's made out of depleted uranium, and it feels it. And initially I thought, oh my god, this thing couldn't pull the skin off a custard. But then I got used to it, and it's actually quite good fun. I've ridden it around the hairiest switchbacks you can imagine. I mean, roads literally like this. Yeah, pretty much, pretty close. And it's been pretty decent. I haven't had any scary moments at all. It's been a very tractable, pleasurable bike to ride. It's comfortable. I find the seating position suits me very well. I haven't tried any off-road stuff or adventuring stuff. To be honest, 192 kilos in my book is just, why bother? I've got a KTM 1290. If I want a big heavy bike, I've got one already. I'm not going to say, saving 20 kilos really, yeah, it's about 20 kilos. Saving 20 kilos is not a big deal. It's not going to get me anywhere. In order to in my book, what I want is a bike of about 150 kilos. So something like the KTM 690. That's about the right level. There are people riding KTM EXC 500s, even lighter. I mean, so for a lot of people, I think a lot of people, the penny's dropped. Light is good. So from my perspective, it's not an adventure bike, but it is a damn good bike. It is a nice bike. Now, the place where I think it's weakest is, for example, on these amazing switchbacks. You're behind a little queue of tourists all doing 30 kilometres an hour and driving ever so carefully and stopping at random times. You think, I got to get past these people. So you're in fifth gear and you think, I'll drop down to fifth, and nothing happens. So you drop down to third, and suddenly you're at the rev limiter. So that's its weakness. It has a fairly low ceiling on revs. I think it's 8,000 RPM or something. You get there very quickly and you run out of puff very quickly. So most of the time it's not too bad, but if you really want to overtake under even mildly adverse conditions, it's just not going to deliver. And I found places where I could have overtaken with ease on a large variety of bikes. It just wasn't going to happen. The engine, apart from the fact it's a gutless wonder, the engine is smooth. I've read people saying that they found it was a bit buzzy at certain revs. Yeah, I think if you were doing a lot of travel at about 100 kilometres an hour, I don't know what the revs that is. To be honest, the display's quite small and I don't have great eyesight, particularly with my driving glasses on, so I can't tell you what rev that is, but yeah, it is a bit buzzy, and maybe it would get annoying after a while. It's not bad. You expect a twin to buzz. I've experienced worse, and it didn't particularly annoy me, but I was looking out for it. I thought, yeah, it's okay, it's starting to buzz around now, and yeah, maybe it would annoy me. Here's some good advice. Get yourself a 600. Oops, didn't say that. So the handling, I liked the handling. I thought it was pretty decent. I'd had no issues with the handling. I mean, this is an island of curves, and I've been through so many curves, you could not even begin to imagine how many tight bends I've gone round in that CB500. And I've always felt quite happy with the way the bike handled. There is a little bit of dive on the front, but it's not severe, and I do what I do with most bikes, which is I tend to balance it with a little bit of rear brake anyway, so it keeps the bike a little more composed in the corner. I find I can flick it from side to side pretty quick. I can go through a bend and then set it up for the next bend and just basically flow through the corners like I would on any bike, or any half decent bike. So I was happy with that. What I miss on it, particularly on the up curves, is obviously you have to slow down a bit for corners, and it just doesn't have the drive out of the corner. You know, you go on hard into a corner and you lay the bike down, and then as you exit the corner you want to pick the bike up and set it up for the next corner, and it just doesn't really have the drive to pick the bike up quickly. Other than that, pretty decent. The roads around Madeira are, for the most part, not too bad. Some areas are badly broken up and you really have to take care on corners. I've encountered every obstacle known to humankind in the shape of cows, dogs, sheep, people obviously. Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, is it good? Tourists are a particular problem. They're driving along and they see this particular nice view and they slam on the brakes and you come around a corner and there's this car just sitting in the middle of the road stationary. And they're all over the place. They're all in these tiny little vehicles, and they're going round the bends at 20 kilometres an hour. It's part of the experience. Fortunately, I found even on a Sunday the roads weren't too busy and I was able to make good progress. So is it a good idea to come to Madeira, rent a motorcycle and tour around the island? And I would say absolutely, it's brilliant. I'm here in the middle of February, I'm sitting here in my t-shirt. People in the UK are up to here in water and snow, and it's great. I can walk around in the evening, there's people strolling around the streets. It's been windy. I brought myself a drone and I thought it'd be nice to fly a drone around here, all these fabulous landscapes, but it's been super windy and that's not uncommon, so I haven't been able to fly the drone. The navigation can be a bit of an issue. I don't have GPS or sat-nav or anything like that. I've just been navigating by map. Initially I was very intimidated by it. You look at the cloverleaf system and you think, oh my god, it's the worst I've ever seen. There's roads above me, there's roads on my level, and there are roads beneath me in tunnels. And there are clover leaves going everywhere and I can't read the road signs because they're going to places that I don't know where they are. They're just suburbs or strange places I've never been before. And yeah, I thought it was going to be really intimidating, but in fact it wasn't quite so bad. I just memorized the places I wanted to go, and there were road signs, and I was able to do it. And occasionally I missed the junction, had to go back again, but it wasn't too hard. Funchal, the city itself, yeah, it's going to take a while. It took me a while. It probably took me a full day just to internalise the layout of the streets. Fortunately, there are two very large thoroughfares that descend down from the mountains to the sea. And as long as you recognise those, then they're made, because you go uphill, it goes inland, you go downhill, it goes to the sea, and it's that easy. There's a lot more one can do in Madeira than motorcycle about. There's an exceptionally fine series of walking trails through the most extraordinary landscapes. So many of those goes along an irrigation system called levadas. I haven't done that. it's something to do on another trip. There are other things like cycling you can do. There's a lot of outdoor activities. The city of Funchal was a surprise to me. I thought it would have some tiny little historic centre and then lots of new build around it. In fact, it's like a subtropical paradise, and the centre surprised me by just how large it was. On my first day, I went looking for the motorcycle shop, and I spent hours wandering around this maze of tiny little streets. And it's an extensive shopping centre. A lot of these historic cities, they're just reduced to pizza parlours and tourist shops, and that's about it. Whereas Funchal's a proper little city. It's for the locals, it's not for tourists. So I enjoyed that. Oh, I should mention this. Madeira is famous for it. It's where a lot of the money came from. Madeira wine. It travels very well, so it was very popular. It's said that I think the Declaration of Independence was toasted with fine Madeira wine. Anyway, it's a very peculiar production process. I like it a lot. It reminds me a little of mead. It's a very beautiful, unusual flavour. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to conclude by providing a selection of GoPro videos I took as I was riding around the island. Anyway, enjoy. here.